The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse. Now you must know that a town mouse once upon a time went on a visit to his cousin in the country. He was rough and ready, this cousin, but he loved his town friend and made him heartily welcome. Beans and bacon, cheese and bread were all he had to offer, but he offered them freely. The town mouse rather turned up his long nose at this country fare and said, "I cannot understand, cousin, how you can put up with such poor food as this, but of course you cannot expect anything better in the country. Come you with me, and I will show you how to live. When you have been in town a week, you will wonder how you could ever have stood a country life." No sooner said than done. The two mice set off for the town and arrived at the town mouse's residence late at night. "You will want some refreshment after our long journey," said the polite town mouse, and took his friend into the grand dining room. There they found the remains of a fine feast, and soon the two mice were eating up jellies and cakes and all that was nice. Suddenly they heard growling and barking. "What is that?" said the country mouse. "It is only the dogs of the house," answered the other. "Only," said the country mouse. "I do not like that music at my dinner." Just at that moment the door flew open. In came two huge mastiffs, and the two mice had to scamper down and run off. "Goodbye, cousin," said the country mouse. "What? Going so soon?" said the other. "Yes," he replied. "Better beans and bacon in peace than cakes and ale in fear." The Fox and the Crow. A fox once saw a crow fly off with a piece of cheese in its beak and settle on a branch of a tree. "That's for me, as I am a fox," said Master Reynard, and he walked up to the foot of the tree. "Good day, Mistress Crow," he cried. "How well you are looking today. How glossy your feathers, how bright your eye. I feel sure your voice must surpass that of other birds, just as your figure does. Let me hear but one song from you that I may greet you as the queen of birds." The crow lifted up her head and began to caw her best, but the moment she opened her mouth, the piece of cheese fell to the ground, only to be snapped up by Master Fox. "That will do," said he. "That was all I wanted. In exchange for your cheese, I will give you a piece of advice for the future. Do not trust flatterers." The Lion and the Mouse. Once when a lion was asleep, a little mouse began running up and down upon him. This soon wakened the lion, who placed his huge paw upon him and opened his big jaws to swallow him. "Pardon, O king," cried the little mouse. "Forgive me this time, I shall never forget it. Who knows but what I may be able to do? You return some of these days." The lion was so tickled at the idea of the mouse being able to help him that he lifted up his paw and let him go. Some time after the lion was caught in a trap, and the hunters who desired to carry him alive to the king tied him to a tree while they went in search of a wagon to carry him on. Just then the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the sad plight in which the lion was, went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes that bound the king of the beasts. "Was I not right?" said the little mouse. "Little friends may prove great friends." The Ant and the Grasshopper. In a field one summer's day a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to its heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn he was taking to the nest. "Why not come and chat with me," said the grasshopper, "instead of toiling and moiling in that way?" "I am helping to lay up food for the winter," said the ant, "and recommend you to do the same." "Why bother about winter?" said the grasshopper. "We have got plenty of food at present." But the ant went on its way and continued its toil. When the winter came, the grasshopper had no food, and found itself dying of hunger, while it saw the ants distributing everyday corn and grain from the stores they had collected in the summer. Then the grasshopper knew it is best to prepare for the days of necessity. The Lion, the Fox, and the Beasts. The lion once gave out that he was sick unto death, and summoned the animals to come and hear his last will and testament. So the goat came to the lion's cave and stopped there listening for a long time. Then a sheep went in, and before she came out a calf came up to receive the last wishes of the Lord of the Beasts. But soon the lion seemed to recover, and came to the mouth of his cave and saw the fox, who had been waiting outside for some time. "Why do you not come to pay your respects to me?" said the lion to the fox. "I beg your majesty's pardon," said the fox, "but I noticed the track of the animals that have already come to you, and while I see many hoof marks going in, I see none coming out. Till the animals that have entered your cave come out again, I prefer to remain in the open air. It is easier to get into the enemy's toils than out again." The ass's brains, the lion and the fox went hunting together. The lion, on the advice of the fox, sent a message to the ass, proposing to make an alliance between their two families. The ass came to the place of meeting, overjoyed at the prospect of a royal alliance. But when he came there, the lion simply pounced on the ass and said to the fox, "Here is our dinner for today. Watch you here while I go and have a nap. Woe betide you if you touch my prey." The lion went away, and the fox waited, but finding that his master did not return, ventured to take out the brains of the ass and ate them up. When the lion came back, he soon noticed the absence of the brains, and asked the fox in a terrible voice, "What have you done with the brains?" "Brains, your majesty. It had none, or it would never have fallen into your trap." Wit has always an answer ready. The Eagle and the Arrow. An eagle was soaring through the air when suddenly it heard the whiz of an arrow and felt itself wounded to death. Slowly it fluttered down to the earth, with its lifeblood pouring out of it. Looking down upon the arrow with which it had been pierced, it found that the shaft of the arrow had been feathered with one of its own plumes. "Alas," it cried as it died, "we often give our enemies the means for our own destruction." The milkmaid and her pail. Patty the milkmaid was going to market carrying her milk in a pail on her head. As she went along, she began calculating what she would do with the money she would get for the milk. "I'll buy some fowls from Farmer Brown," said she, "and they will lay eggs each morning, which I will sell to the parson's wife. With the money that I get from the sale of these eggs, I'll buy myself a new dimity frock and a chip hat, and when I go to market, won't all the young men come up and speak to me? Polly Shaw will be that jealous, but I don't care. I shall just look at her and toss my head like this." As she spoke, she tossed her head back. The pail fell off it, and all the milk was spilt. So she had to go home and tell her mother what had occurred. "Ah, my child," said the mother, "do not count your chickens before they are hatched." The Cat Maiden. The gods were once disputing whether it was possible for a living being to change its nature. Jupiter said yes, but Venus said no. So to try the question, Jupiter turned a cat into a maiden and gave her to a young man for a wife. The wedding was duly performed, and the young couple sat down to the wedding feast. "See," said Jupiter to Venus, "how becomingly she behaves. Who could tell that yesterday she was but a cat? Surely her nature is changed." "Wait a minute," replied Venus, and let loose a mouse into the room. No sooner did the bride see this than she jumped up from her seat and tried to pounce upon the mouse. "Ah, you see," said Venus, "nature will out." The horse and the ass. A horse and an ass were traveling together, the horse prancing along in its fine trappings, the ass carrying with difficulty the heavy weight in its panniers. "I wish I were you," sighed the ass, "nothing to do, and well fed, and all that fine harness upon you." Next day, however, there was a great battle, and the horse was wounded to death in the final charge of the day. His friend, the ass, happened to pass by shortly afterwards, and found him on the point of death. "I was wrong," said the ass. "Better humble security than gilded danger." The Old Man and Death. An old laborer, bent double with age and toil, was gathering sticks in a forest. At last he grew so tired and hopeless that he threw down the bundle of sticks and cried out, "I cannot bear this life any longer. Ah, I wish death would only come and take me." As he spoke, Death, a grisly skeleton, appeared and said to him, "What wouldst thou, mortal? I heard thee call me." "Please, sir," replied the woodcutter, Would you kindly help me to lift this faggot of sticks onto my shoulder? We would often be sorry if our wishes were gratified. The Hare and the Tortoise. The hare was once boasting of his speed before the other animals. "I have never yet been beaten," said he, "when I put forth my full speed. I challenge anyone here to race with me." The tortoise said quietly, "I accept your challenge." "That is a good joke," said the hare. "I could dance round you all the way." "Keep your boasting till you've beaten," answered the tortoise. "Shall we race?" So a course was fixed and a start was made. The hare darted almost out of sight at once, but soon stopped, and to show his contempt for the tortoise, lay down to have a nap. The tortoise plodded on, and when the hare awoke from his nap, he saw the tortoise just near the winning post, and could not run up in time to save the race. Then said the tortoise, "Plodding wins the race."
The Lion in Love. A lion once fell in love with a beautiful maiden and proposed marriage to her parents. The old people did not know what to say. They did not like to give their daughter to the lion, yet they did not wish to enrage the king of beasts. At last the father said, "We feel highly honored by your majesty's proposal, but you see our daughter is a tender young thing, and we fear in the vehemence of your affection you might possibly do her some injury. Might I venture to suggest that your majesty should have your claws removed and your teeth extracted? Then we would gladly consider your proposal again." The lion was so much in love that he had his claws trimmed and his big teeth taken out. But when he came again to the parents of the young girl, they simply laughed in his face and bade him to do his worst. Love can tame the wildest.